I've been thinking a lot lately about how much time that we can spend trying to fix ourselves before we let ourselves really live, before we allow ourselves to create, want more, receive more, before we let ourselves become more visible or fulfilled or abundant or joyful or free. And I think that this matters because sometimes the desire to grow or improve or heal or shift or become more aware can quietly turn into another identity. The identity of the person who is always almost ready, almost healed enough, almost clear enough, almost abundant enough, almost confident enough, almost joyful enough, or relaxed enough, almost there. But what if the next version of your life is not waiting for you to fix every part of yourself? What if the shift is not about becoming almost perfect? What if it is about creating from a different identity? And that is what we are going to be talking about today on Infinite You. Welcome, beautiful souls. I'm Dr. Sheri, spiritual psychologist, multidimensional mindset mentor, and human potential catalyst. And on this channel, we explore how you can consciously create your life through the power of mindset, psychology, energy, alignment, and stepping in to the version of you who is creative, abundant, and fulfilled. And if this kind of conversation resonates with you, go ahead and hit subscribe, hit like, and share this video with anyone who you think may need it. Oh, and stay with me till the end because I will share a simple place for you to begin if you recognize you have been creating from an old identity and you are ready to make the pivot. So hang in there and let's dive right in. I want to start here. There is nothing wrong with healing. There is nothing wrong with growth. There is nothing wrong with becoming more aware of your beliefs, your patterns, your reactions, your nervous system, your energy, your conditioning, or the stories you have been living from. Of course, that work matters. I believe deeply in that work. You cannot shift what you cannot see. You cannot consciously create your life if you are completely unaware of the identity loops or the thought patterns or the belief system shaping your current reality. But there is a point where healing can become a holding pattern, or awareness can become a holding pattern, or self-improvement can become a holding pattern. And the question actually becomes, am I actually shifting, or am I waiting to become a more acceptable version of myself before I let myself create? Because I think sometimes we say, I'm working on myself, but underneath that there is a quieter belief running. I need to be more healed before I can be seen. I need to be more confident before I can start. I need to be more disciplined before I can receive. I need to be more spiritual before I can trust myself. I need to see and understand every pattern before I can make a different choice. I need to fix this version of me before I am allowed to become the next one. And that is where the work gets tricky. It is a quiet belief just kind of underlying things, because it can look conscious, it can look responsible, it can look self-aware, but underneath it may still be organized around the idea that something about you is not ready yet. And I really want to gently challenge that today, because the next version of your life does not require you to become flawless. It requires you to become honest, present, available, willing, aligned. It requires you to stop identifying so completely with the old pattern that you forget that you have the power to choose from somewhere new. And that is why changing a habit doesn't always work. Sometimes changing a habit can be really powerful. Sometimes the new habit helps you become the version of you who naturally embodies that habit. That's really what's going on from a behavioral psychology point of view. But sometimes The habit is only sitting on top of the old story. It looks different on the surface, but underneath, the same role is still running the same pattern. So you can create the morning routine, but still be creating from pressure, or you can set the goal, but still be creating from proving, or you can make the plan, but still be creating from fear. And so you can change the behavior, but still be carrying the identity of the person and the vibration of the person who does not trust herself. And that is why discipline and motivation can feel so unsustainable for many of us. Not because discipline is bad, not because habits do not matter, but because trying to force a new life from an old identity can feel futile over time. Behavior change without identity change often can feel and be experienced as performative, and performance is exhausting because you are not only trying to do the thing, you are trying to hold a new behavior in place while the old identity is still quietly pulling you back into what feels familiar. And that is why I care so much about identity, because the question is not only, what do I need to do differently? The deeper question is, who am I inside of this pattern? Who am I creating from? Am I creating from the part of me that is trying to prove she is enough? Am I creating from the part of me that is afraid of being rejected? Am I creating from the part of me that believes life has to be hard? Am I creating from the part of me that is waiting to be chosen, validated, approved of, or rescued? Or am I creating from the version of me who knows more is possible? The version of me who can tell the truth, who can feel the truth of my soul, the version of me who can receive, the version of me who can move with clarity and decisiveness, the version of me who can create from alignment instead of fear, the version of me my soul already knows. That shift matters, because when you only try to fix the behavior or the habit, you may keep battling the same pattern in a new outfit. But when you see the identity underneath the behavior, you start working at the level where creation actually changes. So you stop asking, how do I force myself to do this? And you start asking, who am I when this becomes natural? Who am I when I trust myself? Who am I when I receive more? Who am I when I express the truth? Who am I when I no longer organize my life around pressure? Who am I when I let this be easier than it has been? This does not mean you never take action. It does not mean you sit on the couch and wait for your energy to magically change. It means your action is coming from a different place. There is a huge difference between action that comes from extrinsic reward and action that comes from alignment. And there's a huge difference between discipline that comes from proving and devotion that comes from truth. There is a huge difference between trying to fix yourself and choosing to embody the version of you who is ready to live differently. And you can feel the difference. One feels tight, one feels like pressure, and one feels like you are performing the next version of yourself instead of becoming the next version of you. So the other one, of course, feels cleaner, more grounded, more honest, more connected, more vibrationally tuned in and coherent with the essence of who you are. So it still may stretch you, it still may ask something of you, but it does not feel like you are fighting yourself to become yourself. And that is embodiment. I just made an entire video about our developmental stages. Embodiment is not waiting until you have no fear. It is not waiting until you have no resistance. It is not waiting until every old story disappears. Embodiment is the practice of living from what you now know is true, even when an old pattern is present, even when an old identity tries to speak, even when part of you wants to go back to what is familiar. Embodiment says, I see the old story, I see the pattern, I see the role that I have played, and I am not going to make that my entire identity anymore. I can honor what protected me without letting it lead me. I want to say that again. I can honor what protected me without letting it lead me. I can understand where this came from without creating my future from it. I can be compassionate toward the old version of me without continuing to live as her. And that is the pivot. And that is why I do not believe we need to keep making ourselves a project before we allow ourselves, let ourselves to create. And at some point, and really feel good about our lives. And at some point, the work is not to keep digging. The work is to live, to choose, to create, to receive, to let your current reality become feedback, not the final authority, to let your awareness become movement, to let your soul's truth become embodied in your actual life. You are a part of God's mind. You are meant to create and receive. It is your divine way of being and purpose on the planet. So, if you feel like you have been in a long season of healing, reflecting, analyzing, understanding, processing, and preparing, I want you to ask yourself, what if I am not waiting to be fixed? What if I am being invited to create from a different identity? What if the next version of me is not asking me to become perfect, but to become available? Available for truth, for clarity, for joy, for abundance, for visibility, for inner peace. Available for the life my soul already knows what is possible. Because maybe the issue is not that you are not healed enough. Maybe the issue is that you are still creating from the identity that believes you have to fix that first. And you can shift that, not all at once, not by forcing it, but by seeing that loop, by seeing the pattern, by naming that old identity and recognizing the pattern and choosing to create from the version of you your soul already knows. And that is why I created the Quantum Identity Playbook. The playbook is designed to help you see the old stories, the reactions, the patterns, the emotions, the beliefs, the identity loops you may have been creating from, so you can begin to make the pivot into who you really are and what you are truly available to create. It is not about endlessly digging through the past. It is about seeing clearly enough to stop creating from that old operating system. And so I will link that below, and I will put a link below for my free newsletter. You can join that as well if it resonates with you. And if this conversation gave you language for something that you have been feeling, go ahead and like this video, hit subscribe, stay close, and share this video with someone who may need it. We are going to keep exploring mindset, identity, energy alignment, human design, conscious creation in a way that helps you actually live what your soul knows is possible. Because everything is a possibility. And I will see you all next time, beautiful souls. Namaste.